Hi guys, welcome back. We are working today on a 2013 XC90 with a D5 engine, 2.4 5-cylinder diesel engine. I've just finished replacing the swirl flaps on this. There was an awful lot of carbon in the top of the engine, and whilst the power has been hugely improved by that, there is still a slight lag when you hit the accelerator. It's really not it's a bit sluggish. It gets up to speed, there's no limp mode or anything like that, but it is a bit sluggish, which suggests that the throttle body is also in need of a deep clean. So that's what we're going to do today. So the throttle body on this particular vehicle is just here. You can see it peeping out from behind these cables, so we're going to have to move quite a lot of the wiring loom out of the way, but we'll get on with that. That there is the throttle body. It goes into the end of the EGR cooler, which basically feeds on in and through up into the manifold. Let us start stripping this apart. A few things we need to take out. One is the front scoop, then we need to get the airbox out. Of course the ECU is sitting on top of the airbox, and with all of that out of the way, just unplug a load of sensors, a couple of bolts to remove brackets, and then the thing just pops off with 4 bolts. One of the easier components to access. Now I mentioned the ECU. The ECU is in here, and because of that, it is going to be really important to disconnect the negative terminal on the battery so that we can safely unplug this, get it out of the way, rather than having to try and flip it upside down. So I'm just going to go around to the back end of the car now and do that, and I will show you this. I don't often, but I'll show you this once just in case you haven't seen this before, because you have to dig for it in Volvos. So the battery is in here. Okay, so we have 3 13 mils, 1 nut and 2 bolts. Nut in the middle, and then 2 bolts. I've seen a couple of videos on XC90s where they say you can just leave the key out the ignition or whatever. I disagree with that. It only takes 5 minutes to disconnect the battery. We might as well do this properly. No point risking anything happening to your ECU. That would be an expensive mistake. Plate comes out. There's a plastic box inside. Plastic box comes out. Oh, in this particular case, there is an amplifier, I think, stuck onto the end of the battery box, so we need to be a bit careful about that. And there is the negative terminal on the battery. Make sure that can't accidentally reconnect, and we're good to go. Okay, back around to the front, we've got 2 8mm bolts here to remove the front scoop. Okay, now the scoop just lifts up and forwards. There's a sort of triangular connection here, but that just pops out like that. Put that on the side. Okay, so these ECU clips come off in 3 steps, and they need to kind of move out as they go. They won't just push straight over, so you kind of work them gently. You see, there's the first step. That's now fully released, and it will pull off. Likewise this other one. These haven't been off before, they are very stiff, but take your time. Just remember that it has to move forwards with each step. Right, okay, so next, just down here, there is a nut. They're often broken. Just bring it in there. I'm going to have to use an offset spanner to release that one. But with that removed, the box should just, well, the box should lift out, except that in order to lift it out easily and not be wrestling with other components, I'm first going to remove the mass airflow sensor cable, and I'm also going to remove this Jubilee clip here. Okay, MAF sensor now. Now this pinches in at the top. There's a clip on the front and the back. It will be stiff, so just kind of work it gently side to side. And that will come off eventually. There's a lot of dust and dirt on this. Again, I suspect this has probably never been off. And I've already disconnected the Jubilee clip. So next, that bolt on the wing. Okay, now on this corner there's a clip that this ECU lead is connected to, and you just pop that off. Might need a screwdriver just to prise it. There we go. Just a little metal clip. Keep that out of the way. Okay, now the airbox isn't going to be actually clamped on by this bolt. This is rather more a support, so we just kind of lift this out like that. And now I can work it loose from the pipe. Sorry, been caught out here. If you look here, there is a pipe clipped on. Forgotten about that one. There's a little vacuum mount here. That pipe there goes down to the two lower engine mounts, so we'll just pop that off. And then one more clip. This one's just a plastic clip that's pushed through. There's quite a lot of pipes and wires and so on going on around here. But the airbox comes over that. And that is what was tucked in behind this nut here. Okay, one more Jubilee clip to undo in between the throttle control valve here and the pipe that comes in with the ambient temperature air that comes back in from the intercooler. And just to point out once more, here is the manifold absolute pressure sensor. Useful thing to know, and if you are having problems with that, with the airbox out, is a good time to get that replaced. So anyway, let's get this throttle control valve released and we can have a look into the end and see what we're dealing with in terms of fouling. I do have a suspicion that one of the pipes around this part of the engine may actually be split. I have run a smoke tester on this as part of the work I did on the swirl flaps, same engine. But these pipes are notorious for getting a bit squishy and splitting. This one hasn't, though you can really easily see that on account of the fact that there's oil pouring everywhere. But let's see what we're looking at. Alright, let's have a look into the end of that. Oh my goodness, yeah. Definitely in need of cleaning. But that is the butterfly valve. Now there's only 4 bolts that hold this in, one on each corner. So let's pop those off now. Right, one thing to notice here, because this is important to put back in the right way around, is that that little tab is poking to the right. So that's the gasket between the end of the EGR cooler and the throttle control valve. And these bolts are 8 mils, and they'll be on with virtually no force. Now whilst it's attached, I'm just going to pop the cable off. That's down at the bottom corner here. Now these are all fairly much finger tight, so having just used the ratchet to break them, I'm just going to spin these off by hand. Okay, and with those removed, we can then pull the valve out. Notice, by the way, that the cable is clipped onto the back, so you'll just need to pop that off before it can be fully removed. And take care of your gasket. Remember that it goes back on that way round. Okay, not a great look. A lot of sludge in this, and I believe that probably what was making it slow to respond is that as this is turning to allow more or less air through, it's having to fight against all of this carbon build-up. So I'm going to get some carb cleaner on this. I've seen people use Mester Muscle oven cleaner and various other bits and bobs. I'm going to scrape the worst of it off with a pick, and then use some chemicals there to remove all of this crud so that the motor can then turn freely. It is possible that the motor itself is on the way out, but I'm going to clean this up, reinstall it, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you can see from the thickness of the actual butterfly valve there itself, there is probably 3 times the thickness of the valve in carbon build-up and various other sludge, and that is, it's mirrored on the inside of the tube as well. Now the other side, actually not too offensive, but it's not really doing any work at that point. This has to be able to turn freely. It's better. Right, let's get this refitted. Since we've got the airbox out anyway, checking the filter is extremely easy. So there's 4 Torx T25s, sorry, I'll tell a lie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Torx T25s. They don't come out all the way, so I'm just loosening these off when I look at the filter. Now this car was serviced only about 1,000 miles ago, but bearing in mind the condition of the oil and various other bits, I'm not going to cast aspersions until I've seen myself, but this should be a nice fresh, barely used air filter. And bearing in mind that we're looking for things that might stop it from getting sufficient air to run well. That's sort of the, when you put your foot down it doesn't really go anywhere, but it's not in limp mode. There are a few things I'm going to check that are sometimes overlooked, particularly on these models that are slightly more complicated to open up. I'm also going to check the fuel filter. That's another video for another time. Let's have a look in here. This can be a real pain to get at. So is that a nice new filter? Yeah, actually that's not too bad. that's passable. Okay, so I'm not going to cast aspersions, that could well have been replaced. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that has been replaced. Alright, so the air starvation is not the issue we've got, at least it was completely clogged up with carbon. But at least the filter being blocked is not the droid we're looking for. Right, get this back in, drop it back in the car, and then we're ready for a test drive. And that's us done, guys. I'll just take this out for a run now. If you don't see anything else on this particular video, it means that the run was indeed successful and that that's had the desired effect. But keep your eyes peeled. There is a few maintenance tasks going on this particular vehicle, definitely worth watching out for. This engine is somewhat notorious for coking up, so all of these things are definitely worth having in your back pocket should you suddenly run into boost issues. Anyway, there you go. Hope that's been useful. Take it easy. I'll see you next time. Cheers.